So the worst thing you can tell a Black Lives Matter supporter is that all lives matter. You'll be immediately met with a loud chorus of boos, just like 2015 Democratic nominee Martin O'Malley was when he was asked that during the Democratic debates. Just watch.
Every life matters, and that is why this issue is so important. Black lives matter, white lives matter, all lives matter.
As you saw in that clip, O'Malley was booed when he said all lives matter, and he was booed even louder when he said that white lives matter. But why? Well, this is what Black Lives Matter supporters will tell you.
They don't need a white lives matter because it's already understood that white lives matter.
So we're told that the problem of police brutality only happens to black people, or predominantly happens to black people, because there are so many racist cops that are running around and hunting down their black innocent prey, and nothing is being done about it. And that white people are protected from all these problems that black America faces. Why? Because we have white privilege. Well, why don't you tell Daniel Shaver about his white privilege? Just watch.
Newly released body camera footage of this police shooting shows Daniel Shaver's last moments. Police were responding to reports of a man pointing a rifle out of a hotel room window.
Hands up in the air! You do that again, we're shooting you. Do you understand? Please do not shoot me.
Begging for his life.
Then listen to my instructions. I'm trying to do what you... Don't talk! Listen! Hands straight up in the air. Do not put your hands down for any reason. You think you're going to fall, you better fall on your face. Your hands go back in the small of your back or down. We are going to shoot you. Do you understand me? Yes, sir.
An officer then orders Shaver to crawl toward him. Shaver complies, but then moves his right hand behind him despite the warning. Officer Philip Mitchell Brailsford fires 5 rounds, killing Shaver. Brailsford was charged with second-degree murder over this January 2016 shooting. In an interview with police, he said he thought Shaver was going for a gun, saying, quote, "He could have easily and quickly drawn a weapon down on us and fired without aiming, and he could have hit us or the citizen that we had just detained." No gun was found on Shaver. Brailsford was acquitted last week.
So where was Daniel Shaver's white privilege on the night that he was murdered on January 18th, 2016? In a show of such strong compliance rarely seen in police shooting videos, Daniel Shaver, as instructed, kept his hands up and completely locked out his elbows, keeping his hands about as far away from his pockets as he possibly could, to show the officer that he was in no way going to reach for a weapon, and begged for his life. Please don't shoot me. Please don't shoot me. And then when the officer told him to crawl forward as he was instructed to do so, he did. And then right afterward, he was shot 5 times in the head and murdered. And the officer got off 100%. No charges at all for the officer that murdered Daniel Shaver. Just like Daniel Shaver, Tony Timpa's white privilege was nowhere to be found the night he was murdered by the police. He is now often being referred to as the white George Floyd. He died in a very similar manner, where police kneeled down on his neck for several minutes, killing him. Just watch.
Tony's the only thing we can get. Help me!
In 2016, Tony Timpa called Dallas police for help.
You're gonna kill me!
And this
You're gonna kill me!
was the help he got. Restrained
Tony, start to school.
and mocked until he died.
This was a tragedy. It was needless and avoidable.
From a Dallas parking lot, Timpa dialed 911 and said he was a schizophrenic, was off his meds, and had taken cocaine.
Hey, look, Tony, look at me, bro.
Officers show up, but Timpa is hysterical, already handcuffed by a store security guard. He's then restrained like this for about 14 minutes, and officers can be heard laughing as Timpa's face is buried into the ground. Jeff Henley is representing Timpa's family against the city of Dallas in a federal lawsuit. He says officers knew Timpa was on something and should not have restrained him this long.
From this, radically prone position, Tony is going to suffer asphyxia.
When Timpa does stop breathing, officers continue to crack jokes.
Is he asleep? He's snoring, that's what it was.
but they stop in their tracks when a paramedic says the 32-year-old is dead.
All this stuff. He's dead. He's what?
He's dead.
He's dead. That's right, he's dead. As the officer's jokes fell on deaf ears, as Tony Timpa lay face down with his head buried in the grass for several minutes, as the officers joked and said, "Tony, wake up, it's time for school. Wake up, it's time for school," as Tony Timpa was dead without a heartbeat. This case is eerily similar to George Floyd, except for a few key differences. Tony Timpa was not a black career criminal, so this didn't invoke worldwide outrage and didn't cause major U.S. cities to be burned to the ground. As Tony Timpa's white privilege was taking a leave of absence, there was another white boy that was killed by police. This time, it was a 6-year-old autistic boy that was shot dead by 2 black officers. Just watch.
Police body camera footage captured the shooting, and the moment officers realized there was a boy in the car.
I never saw a kid in the car, man.
6-year-old Jeremy Martist, who is autistic, died in the front seat, shot 4 times. His father, Chris Few, was critically wounded. Speaking publicly about that night for the first time today, Mr. Few told the jury officers gave no warning before they opened fire. "I had my hands in the air," Few testified. "I put my hands out the window. They kept shooting." Several witnesses also told the jury Mr. Few had his hands up, which body camera footage appears to confirm. But Officer Derek Stafford's attorney says he and his partner acted in self-defense after a 2-mile pursuit.
He negligently and intentionally reversed his vehicle in an attempt to hit the officers.
Few admitted to drinking that night but told the jury he would never hit an officer and only wanted to get his son to a caretaker so the boy wouldn't be involved in a possible arrest. The prosecution argues nothing Few did that night justified the deadly response.
Derek Stafford is on trial, and it's just a shame that they want to put the victim on.
A 6-year-old autistic boy shot dead by 2 black officers, and what are we told?
They don't need a white lives matter. They don't need a white lives matter. Need a white lives matter.
So Daniel Shaver's life didn't matter. So Tony Timpa's life didn't matter. So Jeremy Mattis' life didn't matter. I don't recall any public outrage over their deaths. I don't recall any viral hashtags over their deaths, like the one that Mike Brown got when the whole Black Lives Matter movement started in 2014 with the narrative "hands up, don't shoot." It was said that Mike Brown had his hands up in a sign of submission to the officers, saying "don't shoot." Later in 2015, this was all exposed as a lie. Even the most liberal news sources have admitted that the "hands up, don't shoot" narrative was built on a lie. According to Politico, this is rated the biggest Pinocchio of 2015. So after all that, some people might just say, well, you just showed me a few instances of police brutality where white people happen to be the victims, but by far and large, police kill way more black people than white people. Well, that also is a lie. So last year, police killed 405 white people to 250 black people. Then if you want to look at the numbers of unarmed people, police killed 25 unarmed white people to 14 black people. So then someone might say, well, black people only make up 13% of the population, so don't they get killed at higher rates than white people? Well, that also is a lie. So when you adjust the numbers to account for disproportionate crime rates, like the fact that 6% of the population, which is black men, commit 52% of murders, you will find out that there is virtually no difference in rates that police shoot people, whether white or black. So lastly, someone might claim that it's very dangerous to be a black person in America because black people are constantly living in fear that a racist white police officer can just shoot them at any time for no reason. So for the sake of this argument, let's go back and take a look at the Washington Post crime database of police shootings. And you will notice that there was 14 black people unarmed killed by police last year. And if you were to actually look at the details of these cases individually, you'll see that for the most part, the suspects had attacked the police officers immediately before being shot and killed. But for the sake of this argument, let's just assume that all 14 of these black people that died were at the hands of racist white cops, and they did so for absolutely no reason. So you have 14 black people that died, and then now let's take a look at the population of black people in America. So you have roughly 44 million black people in America, and for the sake of this argument, let's just say that racist cops, for no reason, shot 14 of them last year. That would mean that as a black person, you would have a 1 and 3.1 million chance of getting shot as an unarmed black person. Yes, that's right. About a 1 in 3 million chance of a cop shooting an unarmed black person. You're 4.5 times more likely to get struck by lightning. You're 37 times more likely to die of an accidental drowning. Do you ever hear about black people living in constant fear of getting struck by lightning or drowning? Didn't think so. We have now established that the origins of Black Lives Matter was started on a lie from the false hands up, don't shoot narrative, which was called the biggest Pinocchio of 2015. We have also established that the idea that cops kill more black people than white people is also a lie. We have also established that cops killing more unarmed black men than white people is also a lie. We have also established that cops killing black people at higher rates than white people is also a lie. And lastly, we have established that the idea that black people need to live in fear of police is also a lie.